who is Alan York, our finance officer and deputy town clerk, whether there are any public questions, and I may be asking the wrong person, Alan. If Chris knows, can we understand, please, whether there are any public questions? Because we normally have a slot for public questions before the meeting formally starts.
Chair, I'm not aware of any.
And I'm not aware of any, Chair.
Okay, thank you both very much indeed. In that case, I'm going to move on to the next item, still just before the agenda officially starts. We have a very sad item to deal with, and you'll see on your screen, those of you who've got a screen, a picture of Colin Arms, looking great as he did for so many years, and you'll see how long Colin served this town. Colin, you probably will know, died recently, and I just want to say briefly a word about Colin, not a proper eulogy, just because we are going to have a minute's silence in a few moments, and it's just important to put that in context. Colin had 90 years, as you can see from your screen. He had in that time the most enormous impact on our town. He gave long service as a councillor, he served as mayor, he served as chair of Breckland Council. He was just totally committed to looking after the people of Thetford and totally committed to trying to improve our town. Even a month or two ago, he was talking to people, cajoling people, with suggestions to people. You could do this, you ought to do that. That was Colin absolutely all the time. He was just an absolutely model councillor, and we shall miss him dreadfully. And I'm going to ask you all now, please, to observe a minute's silence in respect of our colleague and friend, Colin Arms. Thank you very much, everybody. I ought also to have explained that I'm not able to appear visually this evening for technical reasons beyond my control, and that may be felt as a blessing to many of you. So we're now on to the agenda of this meeting, and we start with the top one, if you're seeing the screen, which is 613. Are there any declarations, please, colleagues, of disclosable pecuniary interests? Thank you. I'm hoping that means the silence means assent, and can I remind you that if something occurs to you during the meeting, you're most welcome to make a declaration at the time. And so we move on to 614, which is apologies for absence. Are there any apologies, please?
I've had apologies from the Mayor, Councillor Robinson, and from Councillor Brahim, who has a completely internet connection blackout.
Thank you very much for that. Well, we hope that Councillor Brahim may be able to join us later. If that's at all possible, it will be most welcome. So on to item 615, and this is the minutes. So we are now wishing to confirm the minutes of the special council meeting held on the 15th of December last year. I like to use that phrase, last year, in the hope that this year will be better. And for those who've got access to the minutes, I will go through them with you. At the moment and not on the screen, but they may yet appear. I'm hoping that we can find the minutes. If we can't, I'll ask those of you who attended the meeting to say whether you are able to agree them. We're not getting them on screen at the moment. Okay, I'll reverse that phrase and ask, is any councillor wishing to object to any of the comments in the minutes or correct them? We're really dealing with corrections. So are there any councillors who wish to make any comments or corrections about the minutes of the 15th of December, please?
No, thank you, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you very much. I think you speak for everyone, Brenda, so that's great. So many thanks for that. So these minutes can now be confirmed as a true record and will eventually be signed or initialed by, the chair.
Approve the minutes.
Thank you very much indeed.
Approve the minutes.
Yep, thank you. Good.
Approve.
That's it.
Can I just raise a question, please, Mr. Chairman?
You can indeed.
I don't have any issue with the minutes. I'm fortunate enough to be emailed a copy and was able to read them, so I'm quite happy that they be accepted. If they're not on screen and if they're not on the Town Council website, as I've just looked, the agenda for tonight's meeting is there, but not the minutes. How are we meeting our requirements in terms of publicising documents for public meetings? If I was a member of the public interested in the work of the Town Council, how would I view publicly the minutes that are available that we're voting on this evening?
I would think it's correct to say, Councillor Jeremy, that we don't normally publish the minutes before they have been agreed by Council. So we would be publishing draft minutes, which is not, am I correct to say, the norm? So as long as we hasten now to publish the minutes since they have been accepted as a true record, I think that meets the aim. I'm sorry that no one's able to see them this evening. I'm in the same situation. It's not a matter of one group of us having them and not others. Unless you've got a paper copy, you're relying on memory of having seen them in the past, if you have. However, we've been through the correct process, and I will make sure, I'm going to say it now to make sure, that we encourage officers to put this onto the website as quickly as possible now that it's been agreed. I hope that's acceptable, Councillor Jeremy. I think that's the best we can do in the circumstances. Not hearing from you, Councillor Jeremy, so I'm going to take that as accepting that we've done what we can. Is that right?
I note your comment that that's the best we can do in the circumstances, and happy to leave it there, Chairman.
Thank you very much indeed. So we're going to move on to item 616, which is the review of the budgets. This is the main purpose of this meeting. We need to set a budget for Thetford Town Council for the coming year, which we must do by the 31st of January. And I'm hoping very much that we can do it this evening. We have spent a long time discussing this, and I'm most grateful over a period of weeks, and I'm most grateful to particularly the Chair of Finance, who I'm going to ask to speak in a moment, and the Finance Officer, Alan York, who I will give an opportunity to speak in a moment. So the plan for the management of this item is that I invite the Chair of the Finance Committee to speak first, she having just recently, within the last 2 hours, chaired a meeting of the Finance Committee, and I believe they have a proposal to make to us. I will then invite Alan York, if he wishes to make any comments, to do so, and then I'll open the meeting to all councillors. So I'm going to pass over now to the Chair of the Finance Committee, Councillor Jane James. Jane, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Mayor. Welcome, everybody. You would have received the discussion document and the second draft budget for your review prior to Christmas. Obviously, as per the minutes that you have just approved, my apologies again for not being able to attend that meeting. There was a great deal of discussion at the previous special full council meeting regarding the budget, regarding many elements of it, and the final resolution, I suppose, from that discussion was that it was referred back to the Finance Committee, and the signals were very strongly from this council that the ideal scenario would be that we minimise the impact of any of our spending choices with a 0% increase to our precept, minimising the impact that that has on our residents. So as per the discussion document that has been circulated previously, we met literally an hour and a half ago and we looked at the budget, and there were two aspects on there, and you have the elements in front of you. So very specifically, there's two elements to this. In order to achieve the desires of this council to deliver a 0% increase in the precept, we had to look at doing differently. And I appreciate that I am a stickler for process, but we do have precedents set in the past and currently whereby we can suspend standing orders and financial regulations should there be an appropriate reason to do so. And the reason to do so on this occasion in relation to the reserve policy is that we do still find ourselves, and I'm going to use a terribly overused word, unprecedented times. And we don't know how long we're going to be here for. And as I have taken pains to identify in the past that our reserve and our general reserve, I believe I used the phrase previously, is for when hell freezes over. Well, frankly, right now, everything's feeling very, very cold. So the first element of the recommendation to this council is that on this occasion, that due to COVID-19, the reserve policy that has been previously approved is suspended for the purpose of using reserves to balance this budget. There then follows, and that is for this council to agree as a whole, and that is the first recommendation from the Finance Committee. The second recommendations are that the budget and the precept, the budget be approved and the precept remains unchanged compared to this from this year to next financial year. This is the only way that we can achieve this without the whole budget going back to all committees resitting, and as Deputy Mayor has clearly stated, to do this all before the end of January, which is when we have to get our precept into the local authority in order to get it. If we don't do it by that time, we get nothing. So on behalf of the Finance Committee, those recommendations to this full council have been made, and I hand back to you, Mr. Deputy Mayor.
I'm very grateful, Councillor James, for that, which is very clear and I hope helpful, and we'll keep that screen if we can. Excuse me. Alan, I did say that you would have an opportunity to speak now if you wish to do so. Is there anything you'd like to add or comment on that, please?
Mr. Deputy Mayor, I have no additional comments.
Thank you very much indeed. Colleagues, councillors, it's your opportunity now to discuss this. You may, of course, propose a motion and alternatively simply make comments. So it's open to the floor now. I'm going to have to rely on someone else to say whose hand is raised because I can't see. If that's you, Alan, actually I can see CH has got a hand up. So that's the first one I've seen, that at least part of the system's working. Councillor Harvey then, please. I'll let you go first.
Okay, I'd like to cut the chase. I'd like to propose the first resolution, please, if I could.
So you're proposing the recommendation on the third line of print on the screen?
Yeah, recommendation. I like the current situation that we do what we do, suspend the whatever it is and carry on. Sorry.
Yep. Okay. Thank you very much indeed. It might be appropriate to ask if anyone's prepared to second that, and then we'll have a discussion about it. Do I have any councillor willing to second the recommendation, the first recommendation on the screen, please?
I'm happy to second that. That's Dave Hodgkinson.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hodgkinson. Comments, please, from fellow councillors. I think, Chris, you had your hand up. I think it's gone down now. I'm not getting any hands up. It's possible that someone else is seeing hands that I'm not seeing.
I think, Mike, if I may, I think most people
Yeah,
are
hello.
in
That's
support of the
Councillor
idea,
Wright.
so I just move to the vote on that one, I think.
Okay. I'm not hearing any other suggestions, so I'm going to move straight to a vote. Do we have a suggestion for a vote-taking method this time around, please? Alan or Chris Crimmen?
I'll call from the register if that's clear.
I think that would be very helpful indeed, because there is some doubt about other systems being reliable. Would you
Thank
do
you.
that, then, please?
I
So
will.
The vote is that the proposal is that we accept the first recommendation brought to us by the Finance Committee, which is, in the light of the current COVID-10 situation, says, I think I'll reread that. In the light of the current COVID-19 situation, the Council's reserving policy, items 188/20 and 179/20, be suspended for the specific purpose of using reserves to balance the budget. Right. If you'd like to take a vote now, please, Chris.
I will. I'm going to ask you to vote for, against or abstain. So Councillor Cannon, please.
Oh, when did I become first?
Sorry, my dear.
Yeah, I am open to say that I was against it, but because finance have already agreed, I've got to go along with what finance have said. So being part of a committee, you've got to accept that you've lost the vote. So this time I will vote for it.
Thank you. Councillor Beretta, please.
I'll vote for, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Harvey, please.
For.
Councillor Hodgkinson, please.
For.
Councillor James, please.
For.
Councillor Hollis, please.
I'm going to stick with my original thing and abstain. Thank you.
Councillor Brindle, please.
I think I would normally expect to go last.
Okay, I'm sorry. Councillor Wright, please.
For.
Councillor Jeremy, please.
For.
Thank you. So that's you. That's well, it's carried. There's one abstention.
Thank you very much for that, Chris, and thanks to everybody who voted clearly. So it's carried, as Chris has said. So what we're going to do now is to move on to the second part, which is two recommendations put together. They're in the centre of your screen if you've got item 616 on in front of you. So this recommendation, the second one altogether, is the attached budget be approved. And the third recommendation is the precept remains unchanged at £125.32 per annum for a Band D property. Again, I'm going to ask whether you would like to make a proposal or make a comment. I've got a hand up from Chris Harvey. Chris, would you like to speak, please?
Yeah, I'd like to propose the recommendations, please.
Thank you very much. Jane James, I'm seeing your hand.
Yes, I just wanted to offer the council a moment of clarity in relation to the statement that we make regarding a Band D property. We always use this as kind of the benchmark. It is not to say that properties in other bands will change. This is a 0% increase for all property bands. Thank you.
Thank you. That's very helpful indeed. Councillor Jeremy, Terry Jeremy, you're next, please.
Thank you, Chairman. I think it's worth pointing out that I think the council should be congratulated on achieving a 0% increase on its share of the council tax. It's done that, as I understand it, by a mixture of reducing expenditure and utilising a small amount of reserves. And I think given the circumstances we're in, that is to be welcomed. I think it's also worth pointing out, however, for anybody watching or for anybody that's unclear, the town council share of the council tax is relatively minor when compared to the amounts charged by Norfolk County Council and the Police and Crime Commissioner. So whilst our share of the council tax is to be kept the same, I believe all other elements of residents' council tax will increase. I think the proposal for Norfolk is something like an extra £60 a year for a Band D, and Breckland it's an extra about £4.95 for a Band D. So whilst we're keeping ours the same, people will notice a difference. There's often a lot of confusion around council tax. So I wanted to make that point. And then secondly, the amount of support that people have provided for their council tax on low incomes through the local council tax support scheme is at the moment likely to change for the next financial year. People have been supported with 100% support for the current financial year, and that is proposed to change. That would have a much more significant impact on people's council tax than anything we agree. So I just think it's important that we put it into context. But it's a good news that we're able to do lots of really exciting things as the town council that will benefit Thetford residents and not charge them more for that privilege. So I congratulate Jane and the Finance Committee for the work they did. I know it's been a torturous process. I've been more pleased than ever not to be a member of the Finance Committee, frankly. And also Alan and team, they've done a tremendous job the last few months. I've certainly found the reports to be informative and clear, which is not always the case with finance papers. So just a sort of personal thank you from me to everybody that's got us to this point. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed. So we're saying, aren't we, that the precept remains unchanged for all council taxpayers, not just for Band D payers, for all council taxpayers, and that is what is under our control as a town council. We can't control what Breckland or Norfolk do, only wish that we could. Are there any other comments, please?
Could I just report, Chair, that Councillor Hollis and Councillor Wright have their hand up.
Councillor
Hollis.
Sorry.
And then Councillor Wright.
Oh, right. Thank you. So we've got Councillor. I'm going to make a note because there's a third name on the screen.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
Okay. So next speaker, please, is Councillor Hollis. Jenny, you're next.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm agreeing with what Councillor Jeremy said about the council tax. It's and I'd like to congratulate the finance team and the chair of finance on their efforts of keeping it this way for the residents of Thetford. You just say it's a small amount, but it does build up and help. And I'm going to ask my county councillor if he can fight all tooth and nail to try and sort something out at county, because it's getting quite worrying that if Breckland have put theirs up, like, is it 94 point something %, which works out to, I think, about £495 on a Band D a year, if I've worked my figures out right, and the figures I've seen. It's quite a lot of money for anybody to try and find, especially at this time of year. And it's a bit sad that the two main councils can't really follow a town council on this and help the people of their districts. But yeah, so I'm leaving that in your capable hands, Councillor Jeremy, to argue for us residents. But yeah, well done, finance team.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hollis. I can't confirm the figures you've given, but if they're halfway to being true, then they're certainly a concern. So it makes it all the more important that our recommendation should be that the precept should remain unchanged from our point of view. I think that Councillor Wright is next, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just following on from Councillor Jeremy's comment, I think it's wise to note our zero increase, and when we do communicate to this public, make sure that there is a clear message that goes out there. So often we get hidden under the general council tax increase, but I think it's time flag waving for the town, its council itself, to say that we've not put our element up, and I think communication to that respect needs to go out. But I'm sure that will go as a matter of course anyway, but I think we might as well take the opportunity of giving some good news. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other councillors wishing to speak, please? I haven't got any hands up, but I may have missed something.
Jane James had her hand up, didn't she?
That was merely to support the Deputy Mayor in finding the hands up. Apologies.
I'm very grateful, Councillor James, because you did find it, even if it managed to fool us in the end anyway. We are all learning this system. By the time COVID is finished with, we'll all be proficient in something we hastily put aside. I'm loving the thought of getting back to real meetings. Colleagues, unless there are any more, I'm going to suggest that we take a vote now. We have got two recommendations that are on your screen. The second of the three was the attached budget be approved, the third of the three. So we're putting these two together. The precept remains unchanged at £125.32 per annum for a Band D property. I stress, as Councillor James quite rightly said, it is unchanged for all council taxpayers. Okay, can we ask Chris Curran that we arrange a vote, please?
Yes, I'll call again in the same order, and it's going to be for the motion, against the motion, or abstain. So first of all, Councillor Cannon, please.
Agreed.
Thank you. Councillor Beretta, please.
For. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Harvey, please.
For.
Councillor Hodgkinson, please.
For.
Councillor James, please.
For.
Councillor Hollis, please.
For.
Thank you. Councillor Wright, please.
For.
Councillor Jeremy, please.
For.
Councillor Brindle, please.
For.
Okay, well, that is unanimous, Chair.
Thank you very much indeed, Chris, for organising that, and thanks, colleagues, for setting a budget so that we can now proceed more happily into 2021 with the thought that there is a budget and we can expect a precept as a result. So we're leaving 616 and moving on to item 617, community engagement. I think the point was heavily made in the last discussion that we should be, I think it was Councillor Harvey, was it, who made the point that we really ought to be shouting from the rooftops what we are intending for the people of our town. That is to say, to enable people to feel that there are improvements taking place and that their council tax is not going to go up, at least not our share of the council tax. It may be that we can find a way of doing that other than the media release, but at the very least, can I encourage officers, please, to use the opportunity on the website, on Facebook and other media, please, to say what we've agreed. Are there other wishes from colleagues to say anything else or improve on that? Again, I think silence means assent. So I'm going to move us on to item 618, which is committee officers update. Alan, again, thanks for all your help so far. Is there anything else you wish to update us on?
Mr. Deputy Mayor, there's nothing else to update the full council on.
Thank you very much indeed. In that case, colleagues, I'm going to...
Excuse me, Mr. Chair.
Yes,
I keep seeing Jane's hand raised. I don't know whether you can see it or not.
I can't see it. So thank you for that. Jane, did you wish to comment?
Apologies, Deputy Chairman. It was just to say in the past couple of years, I've worked with the finance officer to do the press release. Would this council like me to do the same again this year?
Can I try and speak for the council and say, yes, please?
Thank you.
Many thanks for that, Jane. That's very helpful. There is no committee officers update. There is no other business. Colleagues, thank you very much for setting a budget, and the meeting is now closed.